Hello, everyone. This is Sheniynah Richardson of SheRich Educational Consulting with Inclusive and Diversified Classroom Management 101. And this is blog number 13, Student Incentives that Promote Intrinsic Motivation. If you've been following my blogs, you've heard me speak on intrinsic motivation numerous times. So in this blog, I'm going to lay it flat for you. When I speak of intrinsic motivation, I am referring to the energy and the effort one puts into achieving a task. So, where does this energy and effort comes from? Well, it comes from our own head space. It is the innate belief that you can do it. If you do not believe that a particular outcome is possible, then you will not attempt the task. Another question you may be asking is, if intrinsic motivation is generated from within, how do I get my students to believe in themselves? The answer is simple. Lead by example. Believe in your students and they will believe in themselves. Never assume that a child chooses to be a failure. Assume that they merely lack the tools to become a success. So, here we go. Student incentives that promote intrinsic motivation. I have the live 5. Number 1, peer coaching and tutoring. No one is good at everything, but everyone is good at something. If you have a student that has struggled with an objective all year and finally they began to make progress, whereas they used to make S, but now they have strong C's, they are the best candidates for peer tutoring, leading a peer tutorial. Now, you might be saying, whoa, stop the bus. How does this make sense? Well, why not use all A students as the peer coach? Glad you asked. Because if a student has struggled, they can connect and teach other students who struggle. Those students are relatable. It is the struggle that lays the foundation for success. Whereas a student that does not have to practice to achieve has difficulty articulating what is unfamiliar to them. An all A student may not have to process the information because it comes to them so naturally, which makes it difficult for them to explain and be the best peer tutorer. They never really had to think about their answers, they just knew it. Also, peer coaching remediates and reinforces the standards. The teaching student is enriched because they are demonstrating the information to their peers as well as they are reteaching themselves. So your C student then becomes your A student. Why? Because they are intrinsically motivated. Number 2, give points, classroom dollars, or any kind of point system that rewards students for engaging in the desired behaviors in a solid, and this is a solid intrinsic motivator. True story. My guided practice for class one particular day was a read aloud. And I offered 10-point passes for every read. I called it 10 for 100. Students with 10 passes at the end of the 9 weeks got a 100 for every 10 that they turned in. At first, my volunteers were my strongest readers. When I said, okay, I'm trying to make it rain in here, and it looks like Sally Sue is the only one that wants to get paid. Then I had a response from a student who I will call Steve, who volunteered to read. Now, Steve didn't participate much in classroom instruction because he had a speech impediment, on top of the fact that he was 3 grades behind on his reading level. And I can distinctively remember his voice saying, "Miss Richardson, I would like to try." So I obliged. It was stakingly painful, to say the least, to hear him stumble and bumble through those paragraphs. And I did my best to anticipate the words that he would possibly mispronounce so I could help him before he said the wrong words, just to try to ease some of the tension. So after about 10 minutes of this reading, he stopped because the comments that other students were making and their gestures and the size threw him off. So when I observed this, I said, okay, thanks for volunteering to read, Steve. Here are 3 passes because you've read during what I call the triple point session of the period. He was so happy because he had never been recognized for doing anything good. Mostly he just only heard about the problems, and he was not given tools to better himself, and he wasn't offered incentives to be motivated to push himself. So I remember that his smile was big and bright, and he asked if he could have another go. Could he read again? And I said, sure. So I'm getting myself prepared again to go through this process of anticipating the words that he may mispronounce when he reads. But when he read this time, he read with grace and fluency like I have never heard him read before. And I was surprised, and all his peers were surprised, and he read with minimal error. So everyone, was in awe, and I gave him 3 more passes because I was so proud of him for his courageous involvement in the day's lesson. So I gave him 3 more passes, and he said, "Miss Richardson, 4 more passes and I get a free 100. And I said, "Yes, that's right." And the same kids that were naysaying and saying, oh, I can't take this, they were like, "Okay, no, it's my turn, because if he can do it, I can too." And so the student engagement that day, it spread it like wildfire, and it was amazing. You had to be there. So it basically became a competition to see who could get the most passes for reading within the class period. And as I stated in blog number 12, you celebrate the small successes, because celebrating the small victories intrinsically motivates the students. Number 3. Okay, so I will confess, I did spend money on my kids. I did buy goodies and treats. And it was not because I had an agenda to manipulate behavior through tricks and treats, but it was because it was earned. The student of the month was not necessarily an exemplar by way of numeric achievement, but because they demonstrated perseverance over hardship. One of my students in particular was an exchange student from India. Her English speaking and writing skills were limited. Her parents were still in India while she studied here in the United States. She was encouraged to make the most out of this English class because the knowledge that she gained was shared with her parents, who were attempting to apply for a green card to come to the United States to be with their 14-year-old daughter. Now, Anne, as I will call her, was such an impressive student. She was very disciplined and responsible in the absence of her parents. Now, you don't necessarily have to spend money on Students of the Month, but I did. I rewarded them with gift cards, or I made up a gift basket with goodies inside. And I also posted a picture of them on the wall and a mini biography on the bulletin board. And it let students know why I chose them and what their interests were. These students served as an inspiration to their peers. It set a climate of achievement, not only academically, but in the avenues of character and discipline. The students I nominated made sure to behave in a manner that suited their recognition. It became an unspoken goal for everyone in my class to get their face on the wall. Number 4, conduct an appreciative inquiry through the use of multiple intelligence. An appreciative inquiry focuses on what is good and builds from that point. Multiple intelligence have to do with art, music, dance, design, writing. It's basically the energy that channels from our souls into our lens. The easiest clean-cut form of assessment is standardized testing. However, this is not the holistic measure of student learning. So I offer that you provide options for students to demonstrate their knowledge through creative means. Application and creation of a product is the epitome of learning, if you ask me. When students are allowed to express themselves, it boosts their esteem and opens the gateway to intrinsic motivation. Number 5, create a mantra. One that I love to use in class came from a T-Pain song, and you may be familiar with it. And I kind of changed up the words to fit my objective, which is all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got learning on my mind and I'll never give it up. And every time I step up in the classroom, my hands go up. And they stay there. And they stay there. So, like that. And it was really encouraging and inspiring. So, if students had a bad day, they weren't going to have a bad day anymore because that was fun. It was energetic. Now, initially, it may just be something fun to rant, but after a time, these words take root in the soul and become a reality. Motivation is intrinsic because the mantra plants the seed of, yes, I can do it. And that is my live 5. Thank you for hanging with me, and come back next Sunday for my new blog. Conducting an equitable history lesson is gonna be great. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't, check out my Teacher's Jam music video. It's awesome as well, just as you are, my viewers. I'll see you next time. Bye now.